Hi friends, my name is Maddie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I have been gone a hot minute, so I'm going to go over all the books I read in the month of February and March. I have been all over the place. I went back home to the States for a little bit, so I didn't get a whole lot of reading done during these months. And I had some really great reads. I had some really disappointing reads, which we'll get into later. But let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start off with a real big bang. I read Yellowface by Art of Kwan, and I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. I just think Rebecca Kwan is just one of the best writers I have ever seen in my life, truthfully. Just the way she's able to switch between genres so well. I could listen to this woman talk for hours. So this is about June and Athena. June, they're both authors, and Athena seems to have a very everything comes to her very naturally. Everything is just kind of given to her almost. And when Athena dies, June steals her manuscript. And no one has seen this manuscript, so it's kind of this thriller of, is June gonna get away with all of this? So it's absolutely incredible. I had the hardest time putting this book down. I had to like force myself to put it down because I just knew if I didn't, I was going to read it in one go. So absolutely amazing work from R.F. Kwan. The next two books are part of a series, and I ended up picking up Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Yeah, by Susan Dennard. This is about Safi and Isolde. I think I said that right. I hope I did. This is about, they're both witches, and Safi is a truth witch, so she's able to tell between lies, and the world is kind of after her because truth witches are very rare. And then there is Isolde, who is a thread witch, so she can see the bonds between people, but she cannot see her own. So it's kind of this mystery of like who's really telling the truth and who can we trust. And there's pirates, like witch pirates, and it's just really fun. It's been a great series. I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm definitely picking up the next couple books in the next few months. They're up on my bookshelf over there, so really recommend these. I ended up giving them both 4 out of 5 stars, I think. So alright, then I ended up picking up The Lovely Return by Carrie Ann Cole. I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. Oh, where can I start with this? This is about a guy named Alex, and his wife dies, and basically his wife is reincarnated as a girl named Penny, and she like remembers things, but she doesn't really remember things, and it was kind of weird. I wasn't super into it. I'm not into the whole like magical realism element, even though it's like reincarnation, but to each their own, I suppose. I do see why people like this. I see why people don't like it, so that's why I'm kind of like on the fence about it, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. The next book I ended up picking up was Lady of Starlight. I ended up giving this like 3.5 out of 5 stars, I think. I don't know, overall as a series, I think it was just an okay series. I didn't think it was anything profound. I didn't necessarily connect to any of the characters or the plot. I don't think I would reread this. I don't know if I would even necessarily recommend it. I think it was just okay. It wasn't what I was looking for at the time. And again, I see why people like it. I see why people don't like it. And unfortunately, I thought it was pretty okay in my opinion. So, all right, the next book I really, again, had a really hard time with was Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. This is the second book in her Little Thieves series, I think it's called. I absolutely adored the first one. The first one was probably one of my favorite books I've read all year. The second one gravely suffers from second book syndrome. Now, did I think it was fun? Yes. The main character ends up starting a cult, and that's very interesting. I'm interested to see where that goes. And she's kind of like figuring out who her family is and da-da-da-da. But again, I felt like it took a while for the plot to get going, and I do think it's set up really nicely for the third book, and I absolutely 100% will pick it up. But just the second book syndrome, maybe the second time around I'll enjoy it more, but I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I ended up finishing the last book in the Stars and Fire series. This is a very quick romantasy read. This does not follow the main couple. This follows Talia and Soren, and they're trying to figure out what the Human King wants, because he is like basically playing Bachelorette, but with the Star-Blessed people, and obviously those who are star blessed are very powerful. So I do think it was just a really fun, super quick read. It's not even like 300 pages. Yeah, it's like 260. So I just thought it was a really fun read. I would definitely pick this up again if I was ever kind of like slumpy. It was fun, it was quick to read, and I really enjoyed Talia's and Soren's connection. Even in the first 3, you kind of see them like together, but this one I just really enjoyed. So one of the other series I ended up finishing was the War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent. This is the third book, Mother of Dawn and Death, and after the second one I am so glad I ended up sticking out this series. This one was so worth it. I really do love these characters a lot. I don't know why, I just really suffered through the second one. I just love a second book syndrome around here today, jeez. But I just really loved these characters and how the story all fits together, and every single second of this book I really just enjoyed. This is one I would absolutely 100% pick up again. So then I ended up picking up like a lit thriller. I ended up picking up All's Well by Mona Awad. I have read Mona Awad before. I ended up reading Bunny, and so I was really willing to give her a second chance as an author. I just don't think these books are for me. I'm not a huge thriller person in general anyways, so it's not really hurting my feelings. Obviously, I hope not, it wouldn't. I find that she starts off really strong, and then things go really weird at the end, to the point where it's like you can't really even tell what's happening or what's going on, and it's not even like in a enjoyable way in my opinion. But this was about a professor who is suffering from chronic pain, and no one really believes her that she's in pain, and her students all want to do Macbeth, I think, or they want to do All's Well, the play, for their spring performance or whatever, and she's making them do Macbeth. Maybe. It's one or the other. It's either All's Well or Macbeth, and they want to do one and she doesn't want them there. She's forcing them to do the other, and it's just a whole lot of back and forth, and I'm not the target audience. End of story. I ended up picking up a hockey romance called The Puck Secret by Gian Wright. I have read Gian Wright before. I really enjoy her writing. I think it's fun and just a good time overall. The Puck Secret is about Nova and Madeline, and they are texting each other and they don't know it's one another, and eventually they do figure out that it's each other, but they don't know it's each other, so they're telling each other like really deep dark secrets that like no one else knows about them. So Madeline is also the mayor's daughter, and Nova is rivals with her older brother, so there's a lot of like different dynamics going on there. Again, I had a really good time reading this. I'd pick up the second one in this series. I really enjoy Gian Wright's writing and I had a good time. Ooh, okay, so the next couple I'm going to talk about I have really enjoyed. I ended up picking up Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and let me tell you, I am in my Abby Jimenez era. Oh my gosh, I really enjoy her writing so much. I haven't felt this way about a romance author in a hot minute, and they're just so good, and like this really good balance of fiction and real life. I know that sounds crazy, but like there's definitely real elements to it, and just the characters feel so real, and I think that's maybe why I really enjoy it. So this is about Alexis, who is an ER doctor, and she is fresh out of a breakup, and her ex-boyfriend sucks so bad. So she ends up crashing her car, I think, or her car breaks down in the middle of the night near the small town, and she meets Daniel, and Daniel runs an Airbnb, so she stays there for the night, and for some reason she just keeps finding her way back to him. And I just really love the growth and the development of these characters, because again, they're facing like real life issues and kind of figuring out what they want in life, and I just really enjoyed it, especially because the characters are older. There is an age gap between Alexis and Daniel. Alexis is a little bit older than him, but both of them are still kind of figuring out like what they want for themselves and for their careers, so I just really enjoyed it so greatly. Then I picked up Shark Heart by Emily Hayback, and first off, this cover is absolutely beautiful. Look how gorgeous it is. Oh my gosh. And I enjoyed this one. I go back and forth with how I feel about it, because it's like a romance, but it doesn't really feel like a romance. Like I expected it to be more like happy ending, I guess, and I guess kind of so, but I don't know what I was really expecting. So basically, this is a magical realism element where people can have mutations and they turn into animals slowly over time, and this main character's husband is turning into a great white shark, and so there's like a lot of back and forth of like him fighting it and learning how to cope with it, and the female main character learning how to cope with it, and the aftermath of it, and everything that happens before it. I feel like these characters are very well fleshed out, So that is one thing I really enjoyed about this book, and I thought the plot was good and the pacing of it and the way it jumps between like before he turns into a shark and then the female characters like pass pretty much, and then after I thought was interesting. So again, I did enjoy this. I kind of struggle with magical realism and the fact that it was targeted as a romance novel, even though it didn't like, it's not your, it definitely falls more so into that literary fiction romance. So if that's what you're looking for, it was definitely a good one. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars, even though it wasn't what I was expecting. I still really had a great time reading it. I also finished the Like Us series. A moment of silence, because now I'm without them for a minute at least, until I get my Cobalt Empire. So I finished the last book in the Like Us series, which is the 13th book in this series, lucky number 13, and this is about Luna and Donnelly, and by far Luna and Donnelly are my favorite couple. I can officially say it without any question or complaints. They are my favorite couple. I just adore them so much. I enjoy their dynamic. I just really love them, and I enjoy Donnelly's dynamic with her family, and just kind of the storytelling, and just so much happens in these books, truthfully. So they're just really fun, and I think it was a great conclusion to just a fantastic series. I ended up picking up Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldtree. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I did like this one, but I think it's really hard to follow up with Legends and Lattes. So Viv is a mercenary orc, and she gets left behind after she's injured in a fight, pretty much. I think the issue I had with this book is that I knew Viv wasn't staying. So like the friendships and the relationships, they were deep, but they weren't rooted down in anything because she wasn't staying. But I did appreciate like the full circle moment at the end. Granted, I did love following Viv around. I think she's a great character. So I also ended up picking up a Viciously Yours, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I thought the note at the front of the book where the author left was really funny. It's basically like, if you're looking for a literary masterpiece, this is not the book for you. I had a really fun time reading it. It's just a quick fated mates romance. It's not even like 300 pages. I think I was lucky and I had a really good time with it, especially because it is fated mates, so it's kind of hard to like make a connection between characters, but I think it was just a really fun time. This is definitely an author I would pick up again. And I would definitely read on with the rest of the series when the rest of them come out. Then I ended up picking up Divine Rivals, which I ended up giving 4.5 out of 5 stars to. I put this one off for so long, and I am so sorry I did that, because it was really good. This is one of my friend Michelle's favorite books last year, so it was definitely one that I knew I had to pick up. I really enjoyed the romance element to it. This was my fault, but I thought it was enemies to lovers, and it's not. It's rivals to lovers. I don't know why I thought it was enemies to lovers. I'm dumb, okay? No one said I was smart. It's literally called Divine Rivals. Why would it be? It's not divine. Shut up, I know. But I really like this one. I need to get my hands on the second book. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I finished this like right before I left the States, like literally like the day before, I think. So I just haven't been reading a whole lot. I'm not entirely convinced that the month of February and March happened. I'm not even fully sure the month of April happened. I've read like 5 books this month. We're not going to talk about it. The next book I picked up was another fantasy romance, and it was Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a strong start to the series. I'm definitely looking forward to picking it up. This is about a girl named Diem, I think it is, and she's a human, and basically these descendants of gods basically rule their countries, their kingdoms, and humans are under like super strict rules depending on which kingdom they're in, and Diem is pretty much kind of forced to work in the castle. I don't know if it's actually forced or not, but she has to work in the castle because her mother has disappeared, and her mother's a healer, and they're trying to figure out where her mother went. So it's kind of very interesting little twist there at the end, and I don't know, I had a really good time reading this. I would definitely pick up the second one when I get a chance. The next book that I ended up picking up and I thought was really amazing was Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. I have absolutely fallen in love with this series, and I'm very glad I was able to get to this one. I wasn't sure if I would be able to do that, and I was really happy I was able to get to it when I was back home in the States, and it was definitely worth the wait. So much happens in these books. There's so much angst and grief in them, and it's finally handled in this book, and I'm so glad it is, and that these characters kind of have a little bit of peace inside of them. And I don't know if there's going to be like a follow-up for Daisy Hates. I hope there is, because I love this universe and the series, so I can never go wrong with it. I'll always read these ones, but this is definitely one I would definitely 100% reread as of right now. I don't know why people like it so much. Okay, so I picked up Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I have read a couple of Emily Henry books before. I have issues with them every single time, but this one I had major issues with, and I ended up giving this one 1 out of 5 stars. I thought the whole thing with this being based on a miscommunication was absolutely ridiculous. These guys are like well into their 20s. They should know how to communicate at this point. That's the first thing. The thing that sticks out to me the most is that this female main character, Harriet, is in the middle of her residency and she's not happy with her life, and I entirely get that. But one of her major problems was that she struggles with like having financial freedom. Her parents struggled with money growing up, so she was worried she was going to struggle with money like when she was an adult and like ready to have kids and da-da-da-da. And she ends up quitting in the middle of her residency to go be a pottery artist, and she's not even good at it. She's done it like twice in her life. She's not good at it. And you're gonna quit your freaking job? What is wrong with you, where you're gonna make like, you know, a couple $100,000 a year? I digress. Okay. I just feel like she's gonna end up like her parents, and since she's now making dumb financial decisions, it made zero sense to me. I do not understand how people like this. I don't get how people relate to it. It just feels also so millennial coded, and I don't mean that, I do mean it in a bad way. Things can be millennial coded, but these books are so millennial coded, and I do not get why people like them so much. They're just, I'm done with Emily Henry. Sorry, guys. Oh, on top of that, the character has a load of probably medical school debt because our parents are broke. So you're gonna quit in the middle of your residency? Over it. Over it. I'm done. All right. We're gonna end these. No, we're gonna end it on a bad note, tragically. All right. So I ended up picking up Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and these two are rereads for me, and then I finally picked up A Curse for True Love, and I was really worried about these, but I absolutely loved them so much. I had such a great time reading these books, and they're so whimsical and just magical and fun and carefree and like so worrying at the same time. I promise it's okay. But I just have such a great time reading these books, and these are ones that I will recommend time and time again because I just had so much freaking fun reading them. So 10 out of 10. Can you tell which one I'm really upset about and why we're gonna end on a bad note? Okay, so I picked up my beloved House of Sky and Breath. I love this book so much. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. This was a reread. I love Room Dannon. We all know that. This one, gets 2 stars from me. 1 star for Rune and 1 star for Lydia. And Room Dannon, you're on thin ice, my friend. Where can I start with this? Okay, I want to start this by saying I am not a theorist. I don't follow the theories that often. I think they're fun, they're cool. I'm not coming up with them. I don't care what happens in these books. I think this was so poorly edited, and there's plot holes galore, and I'm one to look over a plot hole. I was not expecting ACOTAR 6 in this. I was expecting Bryce to jump into this world and jump out. I was expecting way more for this to happen. I can go over my list of everything wrong that I thought was wrong with this book. Okay, I thought Bryce's character was absolutely botched. I don't know why, but they were trying to make her like Aelin 2.0, but it was failing because Bryce is someone who openly shares her plans prior, and now all of a sudden she's like sneaking around doing things, and I just don't think for her character it worked well. She was mean to Rune, she was mean to Hunt, she was mean to Lydia, she was mean to everyone, and like no one freaking liked her, and I didn't like her. The second thing is the cave scenes where Nesta and Asriel were just going back and forth between we can't trust you, and Bryce going I can't trust you because you can't trust me, and them going I can't trust you because you don't trust us, and back and forth over and over. I get it. They don't trust each other. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Keep walking, dude. And then the info dumping during the cave scenes. I don't mind info dumping. I'm cool with it. But the fact that there was so much info dumping and then nothing was done with this information and Bryce was wrong about the whole Faye thing, and then just to go, oh, okay, I guess I'm cool with Faye now. And then I guess I think my biggest problem with that is I never understood why she didn't like Faye. One, she's half Faye. She can't even pass as a human. She is freaking Faye, okay? The second thing was, like, her entire family is Faye, and I get not liking the government, that is different, but when you're saying I don't like Faye as a whole and like generalizing, that's where I think I'm having the problem with this. Next thing, the reunion between Bryce and Hunt I think was definitely lacking, and it just wasn't there. Sorry. Next, Rune thinking nothing of his friends going missing for 24 hours when they know that they're pretty much being hunted. Sir, what? I know you wanted to get laid, but come on now. Look out for your besties. Other things that I thought were just weird about this book. I thought the Ethan Sigrid arc was really weird. It just didn't fit with the story. I think she was going to go in a different direction and then completely scrapped it and then reworked it or whatever. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. I knew Ethan was going to end up becoming the pack alpha because, like, you know, you could just kind of tell, but this Sigrid thing just did not work. I felt like there was a lack of emotional impact during the fighting scenes, and like everyone survived and Jessica died, and it didn't work because like no one cared about, like, I guess I cared about Jessica, but I didn't know enough about her to like care. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't fighting for anything. Like, she didn't have a motivation outside of this war, and I think that's what I was struggling with really in this book, was there was no motivations outside of war in this one, and I understand that it happened over the span of like 3 days. Other things I had issues with was Rune shooting Lydia in the leg. 100% would have made much more sense if Lydia shot Rune and then ran after Pax. I don't remember who she was running after. Whoever she was running after, it would have made more sense for her to bang him. And then their whole scene with Nesta and Ember bonding, I get that it was part of a like extended chapter in one of the books, but if it is not important enough to be included in the book, it should not have been an extended, like, it shouldn't have been important in this book. So in the end, for me, it felt weird, and it just felt entirely out of place and contributed absolutely nothing to the story. And lastly, my thought on Rune, Rhys taking 10 million years to get to the House of Wind. Sir, get it together. Oh no, we're gonna talk about my pros about it now. My first pro is that I think, despite Therion making really bad choices, I do think it's set up nicely for the next book. I also said that about the other book, but it was not set up nicely. But I think it has, I'm a sucker for arranged marriage or marriage of convenience, so I think I'll enjoy it, maybe. The other thing I liked, Lydia. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, all right, and that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and please feel free to let me know some of your favorite books that you've read so far this year. If you end up reading Crescent City 3, let me know what you thought about Crescent City 3, and maybe tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong, okay? Because I really wanted to like it, and I just can't make it myself like it. Like, at first I gave it 5 stars, and then I just slowly kept deleting stars. It's probably 1 star worthy, but again, 1 star goes to Rune and 1 star goes to Lydia, so it's fine, it's okay. And please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my video, and have a good day. Bye!